Episode 189. Are these comics going to make good film and television shows? We have Absolute Wonder Woman number 3, and we have West Coast Avengers number 2. Let's talk about them right now. Welcome back to the channel, everyone. Thank you so much for spending time with me as we rant about movies, comic books, and television shows, as well as the occasional board game. I am your host, Frank Zanca, an award-winning screenwriter, novelist, and comic book writer. And yeah, I just want to say Happy New Year to everyone. I'm not sure about when I'm going to have this edited. I'm going to try to have it edited before the new year for sure. So I am looking forward to 2025. I've been doing budgets this entire week. Last 3 weeks, actually, this past whole month for movies. So I'm hoping some of these movies get made so that I can work on them. I did meet some great people through them as well, but it's great that people are doing budgets. That means that, you know, people look forward to shooting in the next year. So keep my fingers crossed. In fact, the movie that I worked on with Crispin Glover just had its crew screening. Unfortunately, I'm not back in LA anymore, and I wasn't able to see it. So anyway, let's jump into Wonder Woman number 3. So this is a alternate take. It's almost like a what if on what if Wonder Woman was not raised in Themyscira, but instead as a baby was delivered by the gods to Circe, who is in hell. She's being exiled to hell. So there she's like, I can't take care of a baby. They're like, well, let's just let it die. It's fine. I don't care. But instead, it brings out something different in her. It brings out her maternal instincts. She ends up taking care of the child, who ended up being almost like, since she was superhuman, nothing could kill her anyway. She was ended up, you know, befriending, you know, these demonic type animals, and so she ended up growing big and strong. But anyway, then Steve Trevor just ends up showing up out of the blue in hell. I don't really understand any of that. And they're trying to figure out how to get him home. So we jump into Barbara Minerva, and if you know that name even from number 2, the last Wonder Woman movie, she is Cheetah. So she's like, I know the Amazons. She's an Amazonian. I need to go see her. Sure. Well, the whole city is being ransacked right now by a big Cthulhu-type kaiju, which, you know, but obviously she's going to go see Wonder Woman no matter what. So there's Wonder Woman going to trying to figure out what's going on, and she's telling all of the soldiers there, you guys are going to need to evacuate because the big kaiju monster is going to send out a kind of a audio pulse that is going to attract all of them into its maw and kill everyone. So it's going to be like a Pied Piper situation where everything's going to come and die. Come into my belly! Get into my belly! What is that from? I've got the secret agent name there. What it was, the joke, the parody. Anyway, she rides around on a Pegasus that's dead, and she has, her lasso looks like it's made of like intestines. I don't know. But apparently these intestines can stretch. So she wraps the entire thing in it by throwing that massive sword. I hate that sword, by the way. They tried to be too anime as far as I'm concerned. So she wraps the whole thing around it, and she's like, well, that didn't work. So it ends up, you know, grabbing her. So she slices it. It grabs her by the... She's like, oh no, it grabbed my arm. What am I going to do? And this is where it gets weird. So it grabs her by the arm, but then we flash back to her time in hell fighting the Hydra, and Steve is there with her, and she's like, Steve, you're such a great guy. You don't belong here. You need to go home. And he's like, yeah, I'd love to go home, but I don't know how to do that. And she's like, I'll figure it out. So she finds a spell, and Cersei's like, yeah, you can't look at the size difference between her and Cersei. It's weird. I don't think Cersei's supposed to be that short. So she's like, it's a sacrifice. It's too much. You can't do that. And she's like, no, I understand what it says. And she's like, Steve, go out and get us some wood. He's like, I'll give you some wood, baby. But anyway, Cersei wakes up, and Diana is now shrouded in a cloak. And she's like, I have to send him home. I'm supposed to be the hero here. Blah, blah, blah. And she's like, yeah, that needs a sacrifice. And she says, well, there's only one thing I can sacrifice since I'm supposed to be a warrior. So I sacrificed my own arm. Told you it was getting weird. In fact, when I turned this page, I was like, what? What? You did what? Which is the same thing that Cersei said. I'm like, she just comes off as insane, right? Like, I just cut off my own arm. I didn't even know if it was going to work, but I did it anyway. But apparently it was enough, and Steve goes home. So they do the spell on the arm. Her one-armed, of course. That's why you only have 3 arms in the air there. So, yeah. So now we switch back to the arm being caught. And that's why she has the tattoos on her arm, because it is not a real arm. And it poofs off, and now she's one-armed. And she just happens to be having a mechanical arm just sitting around. He attached it to her shoulder, and then Steve immediately knows that she sacrificed her arm. How does he know that? We don't know. He just instinctively knows. Now, how is the mechanical arm working? I have no idea. There's no gears in it or anything. What kind of mechanical stuff would you have in hell? I don't know. And if she can make if it's just magical, why is it mechanical? She just could have made it out of anything. I don't know. It's all weird. So, and I really dislike the faces. He's trying to have a very Greek mythology look to it. It's not really working. The artwork doesn't really work here. But Barbara Minerva does obviously get to see her somehow. Just runs into her. She had no idea where she was. She just bounced into her. And she's like, oh, don't fall, Barbara Minerva. She's like, oh, I know about Amazons. You do? I want to hear all about it. But first, you got to get out of here because we're evacuating because the big monster is about to do his evil cry. She keeps saying that over and over, but they don't evacuate. So she has some kind of little spell there, and she decides that she's going to get on air and telling everybody that this is going to happen, and then need to prepare or get away from it or whatever to try to save as many lives as possible. And I think that's pretty much it. Yeah. And that's right, she's going to create a barrier around the city. And that's it. To silence everybody. So there you go. That is Wonder Woman number 3. Absolute Wonder Woman. I stopped collecting the other Wonder Woman completely. Tom King just didn't work for me. I love the artwork in the regular Wonder Woman series, but Tom King just bad writer, man. It just doesn't work. I guess he has just a different style of characterization that doesn't work. Definitely doesn't work for Wonder Woman. All right, so let's jump into my own comic as well. If you're comic fans and want to support independent comics, this is my vampire mob set in 1950s Hollywood. It is called Lords of L.A. It is a revenge story about a loud singer in the 1950s who is turned by one of the vampire mob clans. She doesn't know which one, so she goes, and Marilyn Monroe is also in it. You can see Marilyn Monroe right there. So she goes to rack her revenge. So they're 48 pages apiece. I do sign them. I also have digital copies as well if you'd like one to email to you. This is the Katana cover. This is the Helene cover. I have 5 different covers to choose from. This is the Samurai cover. This is the Were Panther cover. I have a nude version of this as well. And then this is the Marilyn cover with Nosferatu in the background in spite of the movie that's coming or came out that I fell asleep through. If you'd like a copy, let me know. Plus, we did hook up with Moonstone Books, and they are doing a 50th anniversary Green Hornet anthology. This is not it. It's going to be a hardcover, and this is just an example. But yeah, they're doing a 50th anniversary by Timothy Zahn as one of the featured writers. He created Thrawn for Star Wars, as well as Kevin J. Anderson, who did Dune and also Star Wars. Brandon Easton, who wrote for Marvel for the Peggy Carter series. A lot of good guys. And then the cover art is by Matt Wagner, who has done Batman and Grendel and Max. He's a very famous artist. So if you'd like a copy, we are going to be launching in the end of January, so 30 days from now. You can either go to greenhornetnoir.com and get signed up to get notified when we launch, or there's a link in the description below. All right, so let's jump into West Coast Avengers. This is by Jerry Duggan, and I like Spider-Woman. I like Firestar, back from when it was my Amazing Friends, Spider-Man Amazing Friends. I do not like her costume at all. I was intrigued by Ultron being on the team, but I'm realizing very quickly that doesn't work. They're turning this into the Thunderbolts, where they're trying to rehabilitate villains. So there's a villain in here too that's completely stupid and takes me completely out of this thing. I don't know why they're trying to turn West Coast Avengers into a rehabilitation thing. It just doesn't work, man. A lot of this just does not work. So I love the beginning, though. Like the first scene I really like because it has Jessica Drew, who is Spider-Woman. So we have this delivery that's going onto a ship from a helicopter. We're ready to drop it. But Spider-Woman's attached to the side, and she jumps on, and she's like, I will bite you all with my venom sting. And I kind of like this, where she's like, all right, well, you guys are going to go out real quick. And they're like, no, you can't take us both down. And she's like, oh, yes, I can. I got finger guns. It's all that and a bag of chips. She drops onto the thing, and Iron Man comes back off. She smacks the guy in the head. There's fire going on. Then this rehabilitation villain comes out, and he sits on her. And look at that face. It's just horrible. That's like such an animated show face. And then Ultron and War Machine drop on. And the Ultron thing just doesn't really work, man. It just really doesn't. So they're like, well, you're not going to stop us. We've been waiting for you guys. And he's like, oh my God, I know you. You're a villain too. We're all villains. We want to be a villain. No, I want to be a good guy. So this guy jumps off and, leaps out of the way. And we have the thing hits the guy in the face. And we have a fight scene take place. And he's like, ha ha, you can't punch me in the face and have me hurt. Ha 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 ha. So anyway, this continues with this no-name bad guy that has no repercussion on anything at all. And then we have this flashback. Oh yeah, we have a furry that's on the ship. And he's like, I will hit your ship. And they fire the ship, the RPG at the ship. And I don't know what the furry's doing now. It's just weird. So anyway, we had this flashback of the Winter Soldier for no reason whatsoever. Whatever. And they get everybody to safety, I guess, so that nothing has any repercussions whatsoever. And the guy's like, oh, that's right, the guy from Ultron lands, and the guy goes, Ultron! He runs away, and he's like, It's all big fun until somebody loses an eye. So there's Firestar driving up in her thing, but she's not. She's actually getting towed. And the guy's like, that'll be $400. And he's like, bill it to Stark. I don't think it works that way, but whatever. She's getting her car towed. Jerry Duggan thinking he's funny. Every time he thinks he's funny, he's just not. So she gets her costume on, and she goes to see Rhodey and stuff like that. And then she gets a flashback from Ultron, who touches her, and she's like, don't touch me, Ultron! I will see red! I will melt you down like the melting guy you are! So, yeah, I guess, I forgot the dude's name there from the X-Men, Nimrod. So she had a flashback of Nimrod, and she says, unhand me, you fool! I will burn you down! Whatever. And then she causes, thousands of, maybe tens of thousands of damage after he just paid for her car being towed. And then they get a thing from another Ultron, because I thought that Ultron was going to turn and be the villain. No. Instead, we get a second Ultron as the villain. What? You can't do that, man. You can't do that. Anywho, you can't have a multiple. You can't have a villain of a guy that's on the team. It doesn't make any sense. Anywho, I'm about this close to dropping this title, even though for the most part, I like the cast. So anyway, let's make a good film or television show. We're doing a recap. No, this is horrible. Just horrible. And like I said, I'm this close. I'll probably get one more issue just to see if it gets any better. But I'm going to drop. After the next issue, I'm dropping Avengers, regular Avengers title by Jed MacKay. I might do a video just on him of the titles I dropped this year. And Wonder Woman, Absolute Wonder Woman, they can't even make a good sequel to Wonder Woman, much less trying to do a Elseworlds type thing. So I'm going to say no to that again. It's these you'll never. You might see this as an animated though. If it's good enough, it sells well enough, they might do an animated thing like they do sometimes with the Elseworld stuff on Max. All right, well, that's it for me. Thank you guys so much for watching. Happy New Year, everyone. Thanks for watching all the way to the end. Remember to give me that like and give me a thumbs up. And if you can, subscribe. Ring that bell, ding, ding. You'll get notified of when I release additional videos. Don't miss out on any of them. And, remember, too, to sign up and get notified when we launch next month for the Green Hornet Noir. greenhornetnoir.com, or click and link the description below. We have at least 100, getting close to 120 people already signed up. So jump in there while you can. All right. Thanks a lot, guys. Again, Happy New Year, Happy Holidays, and I'll see you on the next one. All right, bye-bye.